Hello, this is Mike Poor, Superintendent of Schools for Bentonville, and this is the first Minute with Mike in 2014. It's kind of ironic that this is the first Minute with Mike because we've had some days where we've not been able to be back in school because of adverse weather. We thought that this segment, this video, would be appropriate, especially when we're having a good week this week, to be able to share how we make some decisions and also how challenging it is to make adjustments to the calendar as we have it right now. First and foremost, we always try to put our mindset into making decisions that are going to make it so that our students and our staff and our parents, our entire community, really are safe as they try to go towards school or leave school. That's not an easy decision to be made when you look at 142 square miles in the district that is called Bentonville School District. We have terrain that is dramatic. We have terrain that is, has the asphalt and all the great things that you'd want from a road, but we also have roads that we drive on each and every day that are dirt. The conditions can vary within this district dramatically. As we look at making decisions, we always try to make a decision as early as possible. We know for family members that if you know the day before that we're going to have a school cancellation, that helps you make plans. But we also know that sometimes we can't make a decision until really the day of a weather event. We always try to make our decision no later than 5:30 on the day of an event, but again, if we can make it sooner, we will. This video will share some of the things that go into our decision making. Mr. DeWitt, our transportation director, will speak to you about how we go out and observe things. What do we do to try to make sure our buses are prepared, and how do we get training involved for our bus drivers to drive on these types of roads. Mr. Wallace will also share, as our facility director, what we try to do to make sure that the campus is safe. That's everything from having the buildings warmed and not having any kind of freezing temperatures inside, to having safe walkways and access for all of you as you enter into our campuses. Those are all challenges. When we come back from talking to those two gentlemen, I will share a little bit about what we have to consider if we ever think about trying to modify our schedule, and possibly even some long-term solutions that could be possible for this community to consider at the state level, so that we have a better alternative than our current plans of trying to do snow makeup days at the end of a school year.
Hi, my name is Chris DeWitt. I'm the Transportation Director at Bentonville Schools. I want to talk to you today a little bit about our process for inclement weather. When we have inclement weather expected, we start watching the night before or even 2 days before to find out what timeline we're looking at moving in. We will start the process starting buses between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, where we start firing up every bus to make sure that they get started and get warmed up, get any ice off, whether we go to school or not, to make sure they maintain the ability to run. Around 4 a.m. we'll go out and start driving roads. I'll pick up Mr. Poor. We'll have other administrators or personnel out driving roads trying to check the conditions. What we're looking for is conditions that we feel like are unsafe, not only for our buses to drive, but for our students and parents. We don't feel like that even if we can get in, if the students and parents can't get to school safely, then we shouldn't have school. There are some situations where we have areas that we can't get the buses to, or we don't feel like they're safe, but the large majority of the students, for example, Bella Vista, when Bella Vista gets snowed in, we can still get the rest of the district to our school, so we try to set up limited routes so that we can maintain school, continue going to school. We're looking again for icy conditions, snowy conditions, anything that's going to cause a danger to the students or other drivers on the road.
My name is Paul Wallace. I'm the Facilities Director for Bentonville Public Schools. Today I'd like to talk to you about preparedness for the Bentonville Facilities Department and how we prepare for upcoming weather events. We do make periodic checks on our systems for heating and cooling, and also for freezing pipes that may occur. During inclement weather, we make sure that all of these areas are protected before the weather comes in. We also, during the weather event, we make sure that we send people to each and every building to check on each facility, and also the freezers, refrigerators, and our cafeterias, and also our grounds. When a snow event comes in, we take immediate action and are usually removing snow before it ever quits falling so we can get a head start. We make sure that we hit every school, admin building, preschool center, and we use snow blowers, shovels, tractors, and we also outsource a little bit of our snow removal. Our main goal is to have the student entries and teacher entries safe when arriving upon the school campuses, with our sidewalks and our drives and entryways cleared. We generally like to have our schools and campuses ready for school by the time the highway department and city street departments have their roads ready, so there's no interruption. So
as we wrap up this segment with a minute with Mike, I hope that you feel more informed about all the things that go into adverse weather conditions and how we try to prepare for them in Bentonville, and then how we even think about whether we're going to do a school cancellation. Many of you come from a variety of different places within this country and have dealt with different ways that school districts handle adverse weather. So many of you have shared with me, boy, why can't we do late starts? Well, in the state of Arkansas, late starts are possible, but you need to understand that when you do a late start, it basically creates an adjustment that no matter if you do an hour or you do a 2-hour late start, that you actually are losing half of your school day. The other thing about a late start is it doesn't necessarily guarantee that you can have school for the rest of the day. You may choose to say, whoa, this is conditions that are not good. So late starts are sometimes problematic to think about, especially when you give consideration that it could take away half a day of school time. So again, we have to make those decisions based on whether or not we think it's the best thing, and currently we do not use that as an approach in Bentonville schools. Our current approach to calendar is that you look at adding days when they're available. For non-traditional schools, that has meant adding days in May. For traditional schools, that means adding days at the end of a calendar, which often puts us into June. What I'd like to advocate for, and it probably is going to take some sort of legislative action, is to look at it so that if we get into a situation in December, January, February, where you start to run into problems and you know that you're going to have to make up a lot of school days, to see whether or not it's possible to adjust the minutes on our daily instruction program. Give consideration to this. If we were to add 20 to 25 minutes to our schedule in February, it is my opinion that we could have all the minutes necessary to avoid some of the days that we're having to make up in June. Again, this is going to take legislative action, and we're going to need some cooperation from community members to apply some pressure and suggestions. It makes sense to me to take this type of approach, because if we do it, we can get more minutes of instruction prior to our assessments that we're held accountable to. Second, we get families out and teachers out on their summer break in June, at the start of June. That's a good thing, because many of our kids work during the summer and employers count on them to be a part of the workforce. Second, businesses count on all of us to take vacations in June. They want our teachers, our parents, and our kids all out at campgrounds and in hotels and traveling. And when we extend the school year, that has an economic impact on many. So this seems to be a good solution and approach that we will be working on and trying to advocate. But please understand, this is a solution that really probably can't take place until we get into a legislative session, which is really a whole year out. We will work on this. We are working with other superintendents to try to present this and move forward, and we hope that we'll get your cooperation. I hope that this video informs you and helps educate you a little bit of some of the things that we try to consider as we look at adverse weather school cancellations right here in Bentonville School District. But let's pray that we have wonderful weather now throughout the rest of this month of January and February. It sure feels good to have 5 days of school this week. Thank you so much.